This episode is sponsored by Dewey's Corner Pub. Visit Dewey's Corner Pub for great drink specials, delicious food, and awesome music and entertainment. Dewey's Corner Pub is located at 812 North Piedra Street in El Paso, Texas. This episode is also sponsored by the El Paso Wing Factory. The El Paso Wing Factory is a family-friendly restaurant located in the Five Points area specializing in wings, craft beer, and great times. Visit the El Paso Wing Factory at 801 North Piedra Street, Suite 2. Please follow Dewey's Corner Pub and the El Paso Wing Factory on Instagram and Facebook for updates and additional info. This episode is also sponsored by Wise Guys Tattoo Parlor. Specializing in black and gray work, visit Wise Guys Tattoo Parlor for your next tattoo. Wise Guys Tattoo Parlor is located on 3012 North Lee Trevino, Suite B. Please follow Wise Guys Tattoo Parlor on Instagram and Facebook for updates and additional info.
Sweet Jesus Radio.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Sweet Jesus Radio. I'm your host, Sweet Jesus. Got my co-host Candace in the house.
Hello.
Today we have a return guest. He's a buddy of mine. He's a qualified mental health professional, among other things. I want to welcome to the show the homie Marcelo.
Hey, thanks, Jesus. Thank you, Candace. It's a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for coming. Marcelo Perez, to be exact. Listeners, if you remember, he's been on the show before. What was that called? Little Wins?
Little Wins, great show.
I named it Little Wins, the episode. I forgot the number, but check it out. So the point of this episode, and let me say this real quick because I'm already feeling it. I bit my tongue really hard yesterday, listeners. And we were actually supposed to record yesterday, but we didn't. Just me and Candace. Not because of that, but I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because it was even worse. But I'm having a little... I already mumble. Now it's worse. Now, I don't think it's too noticeable, but I can hear it.
Now you're going to mumble this?
What is it? Some sort of abrasion inside?
It's bad, though.
Yeah.
Like... It's rubbing against my teeth so I can feel it hurts. So when I talk, I'm like, oh.
It's keeping you from expressing yourself.
Yeah, I'm having to carefully.
I hate it when that happens.
And it's kind of messing with me a little bit. But yeah, so whatever. That's just me being too, I guess, self-conscious about it. But yeah, so one of the points is to go back and listen to that episode if you haven't, listeners. And we're going to catch up on that, kind of touch base on some of those things. Him and I are going to catch up. Of course, we got Candace here. She wasn't on episode 1 or the first episode that he was on. So there's that. Starting with that, man. With that said, How's your day so far, sir?
It's going pretty good, and always looking forward to hanging out with you for sure.
Hell yeah.
I know the last time we were together was almost exactly a year ago today. And we had a blast doing that show. I mean, it's always good to catch up with old friends. It's always necessary, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because once you grow up with these guys, and especially with what's going on, being able to catch up with them and doing something really cool to be able to share with the rest of our community, I think it's really important.
Hell
sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Candace? You just recovering all day?
I've just been recovering. I've had like a really rough 2 weeks, apparently.
Oh, man. This is the episode for you, Candace.
Right.
Did you bring a notepad, Brett, and take some notes? So, yeah, if you remember the last episode, listeners, it's, of course, we talked about coping, methods to cope with depression, anxiety, things of that nature, just everyday stress. So it's still going to be on that theme. Some of it may sound a little redundant, but bear with us. But we're also going to try to flip some different angles. Some things that Marcelo didn't get a chance to bring up just because of time. So we still had some other things to talk about. But even more importantly, it's pretty cool because, it's for a bad reason, but, Corona. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of that talk of how people were dealing with that.
Yeah. Well, a year ago when you and I got together to do this, it was
right before it happened.
Yeah, right before it happened, and we didn't see it coming. It was kind of a black swan type of thing where it just hit us from the blind. We didn't know what was going on.
That was literally in January of last year.
And it was funny because I was talking to Jesus about it, and I was like, okay, well, when are you going to release this show? He's like, I'm not too sure yet. I have to make cuts and edits and all this stuff. And it was kind of weird because you released it during the first month of the pandemic, which I thought was really cool. I was like, wow, it just well, it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
relevant to what we're going through.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I had stockpiled a few episodes. So I wasn't sure where it was going to land. Sometimes I'll do that where I'll record a few and then just release them different times. But so yeah, let's start with that, man. I think that'd be a good place to start. How has that affected your line of work, your business? What are some of the things you're hearing out there?
Well,
As far as from your clients,
the biggest thing right now is it's skyrocketing. The whole depression, anxiety thing is something that you guys hear a lot, but because of COVID, a lot of people are really been affected by it. So the amount of time that I spend with my clients at the beginning was a little what could I say? It was a learning experience. Why? Because a lot of our visits were we had to go to their homes.
Okay.
We had to go to their homes and talk to them. But because of COVID and because of things changing so rapidly, it all became something like, hey, you know what? Right now, you guys can't go out. You guys can't go out and do home visits. You guys have to, you have to look at, different options. What, how can we communicate with our clients and really have an effective session with them, just the way we used to in person, and really get the best out of each and every session. And it was pretty much phone conversations. That's what we would do. We'd call our clients up.
Oh wow! Okay.
And getting creative with engaging them. I think that's the difficult thing. You being in the radio show business, and Miss Candace, you doing the same thing. I know you guys have that experience, right? I know you guys are able to get on the microphone and have a good conversation with just about anybody, because your ideas are just flowing, and you guys feel good about about what you guys do, and this is what you guys do. This is what you guys signed up for. So there's plenty of dialogue with you guys. There's plenty of things that you guys can just take out of your sleeve and have a good conversation, right?
Gotcha.
But a lot of the people that a lot of the folks that I was working with were having a hard time adjusting to that. It was in them, but it was a little different. So we had to come up with different types of ways to engage our clients and be able to have a meaningful, good session where they can actually open up and be able to have a good conversation with us, for sure.
Hell yeah, that makes sense, man. What are they talking about? Is there any specific Corona-specific type things going on out there? Trends?
Well, as far as the actual virus itself, we're all still kind of learning as to what's going on with it.
But as far as the staying
effects.
home,
yeah,
all that, how is that affecting people? At least in your experience.
Well, the thing is that
hearing
there's many people out there that have pre-existing conditions, so we have to be very careful and considerate as to how we handle certain things. And at the same time, because it was so uncertain, we really had to be calculated in the way we did our work. So there was a lot of clients that were saying, you know what, I don't want anybody here. I don't want any visits at all. I'd prefer that, you guys, just give us a phone call and see what it is that we can do to continue with the services. But at the same time, we as mental health professionals have to do everything possible to make sure that when we connect with our clients, that they're in the conversation, they're present, they're asking questions, they're able to express themselves as much as possible, and be able to say, okay, look, that was a really good session. Kind of like in your terms, it's kind of like having a really good podcast where you just invite somebody and everything that you guys talk about is just so it just flows. It flows, exactly. One thing after
the mic.
Sorry.
You can move it.
So that's what it was, and coming up with those type of activities was probably one of the most challenging things, because this is just the way we do things now. Not because of COVID now, but just from here on down the road, the way we communicate with clients and the way we do Zoom and FaceTime and all that. It's just ever evolving. And I think the most important thing is that we grow off of what we just lived through this past year, right? And we're still living through it right now. We're not over it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't stop at New Year's Day, 2021?
Yeah.
So a lot of people were talking like...
One administration went out,
a
new one came in.
Even when people say like, oh, I can't wait till things go back to normal. Like, it's not we're not gonna just all of a sudden we're gonna snap back.
It doesn't work that way. But
the way
some people
word things are weird.
some people, believe it or not, want it to be that way.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them because, you know, being at home stuck all day, you know, not being able to do a lot of things. There's a couple of things that really kind of back us up a little bit with a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about, you know, clients. I'm talking about every single person living in our community had something that was challenging placed in front of them, and they had to find ways to actually deal with them. So I found myself doing a lot of work, but not just with my clients, but with friends, with family, with random people. And I think it was really important for me, Jesus, Candace, not to burn out, because I think it was important for us to be on our A game all the time.
Yeah.
And I must confess, there were days.
Self-inflicted stress.
Self-inflicted stress.
Overworking yourself.
Exactly. Because for every single thing that you do, there has to be some sort of justification.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have some sort of meeting. And of course, you just don't want to do things and just throw yourself in there. There's no way that you can have a meaningful session with a client and do it when you have a lot of issues yourself, or you're burned out, or you haven't eaten right, or you're not exercising, you're not doing something that's enriching you. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, as people out there in every profession,
of course, sometimes
we kind of fail to do, because a lot of people were going to the gym, right? But then all of a sudden they couldn't go to the gym anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right. And that was a big thing for a lot of people, right? Work as well. One day you had tons of work, right? Yeah. You had a lot of people have a lot of work, especially, you know, on the weekends, you know, and then all of a sudden, no more work, you know, just like that.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with those type of things? That was the golden question, right?
So one of the ones you're telling me, yeah, that's absolutely correct, sir. Especially if you're used to going to the gym all the time, and then all of a sudden you can't. That's one of your self-care things. And methods, and if it's taken away, I mean, obviously you can work out other ways, but some people prefer that environment, the gym environment. So that's going to affect how you perform in other areas. So that's just one aspect of it. But to segue into one of the notes you had sent me is the importance of self-care, which we talked about, you know, on the other episode. But if you could talk about that, touch on whatever you remember from the last episode, but also maybe give us some different, maybe even Corona-specific type examples of self-care and the importance of it.
Well, everything having to do with enriching your mind, body, and soul, for sure. You know, you got to find different ways to keep yourself.
It's gonna be different for everybody a lot of times, but there's maybe some universal.
Very different. I think the universal would be what I like to call the three most important things, the trifecta of keeping your mental health sharp, which is for sure getting plenty of rest, right? Getting sleep. I think that's important. And what is good sleep, though? What is good sleep? That's a good question I'd like to ask you guys. I mean, for you guys, what is good sleep? 4 hours, 5 hours? I was recommending people to get anywhere from 5 to 8 hours, if possible, right, of interrupted sleep, because I think that's so important. And a lot of people were failing to do that because during a pandemic, it's a lot of people have a hard time understanding that you have to go to sleep at a certain time and also try to wake up at that time as well, because that's very healthy. People don't see it that way, but it's extremely healthy that you get that rest. If you're going to bed at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock and waking up at 7 in the morning every day, that's a plus. That's a good thing.
Like, in other words, going to sleep at the same time and waking up at the same time?
Having a schedule.
Having a schedule, exactly. A sleep schedule, which is extremely important, right? And that's just the first one we're talking about. And uninterrupted as well, because with these little nifty devices that we have now, people are not getting the rest that they need.
Yeah.
And when I say the rest, I'm talking about being able to sleep without having to worry what's on that phone, you know, but because some people sleep with their phone right next to them. They see that, you know, they get some sort of message or alert, and the light goes on, and
that can wake
you
up.
Can't help but to just say to yourself, well, I'm not going to check it till tomorrow. Some people just can't do that.
Yeah.
Some people are just so used to, okay, let me just check who it is. You know, they'll pick up the phone and they'll check who it is, and all of a sudden they're up.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, they're not sleeping with what they're supposed to sleep. So I would talk to people about that. And if they were having difficulties with that, we would come up with methods also to see what they can do to just, you know, pretty much either grab your phone and put it in a different room, or put it on airplane mode. I don't know. Whatever works for you, just, go ahead and make sure that you get that rest that you need. That's extremely important. And the other thing, of course, was the exercise, right? Because, we do talk a lot about all this stuff, but what's important out there, Jesus, is that people are getting out and doing some sort of physical activity. I'm not talking about doing CrossFit or running a triathlon or anything like that. I'm talking about, just going out there and taking a nice long walk. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even if it's by yourself. It doesn't have
to be all extra. Like, you don't have to do the most. Just something simple like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a simple walk, maybe around the block. Maybe go to your park. Well, I know a lot of parks were closed at that time, too. Yeah. And at the beginning, people were saying, I'm staying away from the parks as well. Yeah. You remember that?
Not this part down the street. They've been balling throughout the whole damn quarantine.
Oh, yeah?
Playing basketball.
So some people are not listening.
Yeah,
and
I'm one of them.
So being able to get out of the house and doing stationary exercises as well, push-ups, sit-ups, all that good stuff.
I mean, to be honest, that's why I wasn't following the rules, because I was following the rules for the first month and a half, and I was going crazy. I'm not even joking. I don't live with anybody, so I'm working from home, coming 3 steps to my desk, work 8 hours, going back to bed, watching TV or working on my laptop every single day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then on the weekends, dying of absolute boredom because it was I was following the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my self-care, is just breaking the rules. I need to visit a friend or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not recommending that. I'm just sharing an anecdote, a little story here.
But visiting friends is also a good thing.
Yeah, that was my thing, because I don't live with anybody. So I had no interaction outside of texting or whatnot. But continue.
And you need to interact with people. I mean, I think that's extremely important. But back to the whole exercise, the whole exercising thing. I think it was that you just have to get really creative as to what you like to do. And, when it comes to physical activity, when you talk to certain people, they get turned off by, when you say things like, sleep and exercise, things like that. They want to be given ideas as to, what can I do to be able to, to get that physical activity, or how do I motivate them to get out there?
Yes.
And in many cases, I saw, it's easier with the kids. Kids go out there and do their thing, and they don't mind. But with adults, for example, you had a lot of adults that were, buying bikes, which was really cool, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they would invest in a mountain bike. They'd go out mountain biking. That's something that I started doing.
Mountain biking?
Cool.
Yeah, mountain biking. I just, purchased a cheapy little bike. I didn't spend a lot. Some people are dropping, $2,000 on a bike. I didn't drop that much.
Riding bikes is intense.
I was say bikes are expensive though.
A lot of them are.
They are pretty expensive. Yeah, and you get a beginner mountain bike.
Yeah.
And there's that place out there. There's the Northeast Trails you can go to. There's the Lost Dog Trail right there by Trans Mountain. That's really awesome too. And who got me into that was my brother Fernie. Shouts out to Fernie, who works for
shouts out to Fern.
What is it? Solar Smart Express. And he does all their marketing and all that stuff. So he's all really into mental health right now too, which is really cool.
Solar Smart. Send a check.
Make sure that you share this Solar Smart. I think we can do that. That's why you wanted to record it. I think we can arrange something like that for sure. And he was going out there, and he said, "Hey, I think you need to come out here and do something a little different, because my thing. You know what I like to do, right? I just get on my board. Let's go skate.
He's a skater.
Right? I love skateboarding. I'll visit different parks, but because the parks were closed, I really couldn't do much. But I did have a longboard. Longboards are really good because you could just skate just about anywhere. If you got the good tires, the good bearings, you can just pretty much go from one street or you can go say North Mesa all the way to downtown like nothing.
Yeah, what the.
It doesn't
phase longboards,
yeah. So that was really fun. That's what I was doing. So he says you really need to get out here and do some mountain biking. I think you'd like it. And sure enough, did it one time, and that was good enough for me to say this is something that we have to make a daily thing, because you're not only out there pedaling and pushing the limits and sweating, but you're also breathing in fresh air constantly. And there's no price to that. I mean, it made you feel so energized, so good. And I started talking to people about it, and lo and behold, a lot of people started doing the same thing. Yeah, they really did.
That's a good one.
So you got to think outside of the box for
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
Roller skating, roller blading, skateboarding. My brother tells me there's a bunch of people going into the shop buying roller derby also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because people are getting engaged in different types of, like
Just,
I said, physical activity.
The roller derby is waking up, making people want to buy roller skates again and whatnot,
There you go.
which is cool.
And
Just another option. Of,
yeah,
some
everything
exercise.
everything having to do with just getting out and being out in nature is the best medicine to feel good about yourself.
Hell yeah.
And to really feel all of a sudden you get this urge to want to do something really productive when you're engaging in that type of stuff. So I mean, we're just having a casual conversation about it, but everything that I talk to my clients about were specifics. I had to gather their strengths and weaknesses and see what it was that they like to do. Because what works for me may not work for Jesus or Candace. So I have to be able to get in there and really have a good session with them to see what they're willing to do and formulate a plan with them. Because I think every client and anybody who's in the mental health field knows that we have to really be specific about their treatment and what we can do to help them gain control and feel better about themselves for sure. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, because you have to pinpoint what's going to work for them, or else they're not going to be too responsive to, or to.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to do it unless it speaks to them.
Exactly. And then I had mentioned one thing right now, Jesus, about kids. It's easier to get kids out there. No, it's not. I take that
A lot of
back.
times nowadays,
I take that back. It's a little.
They take the damn Xbox outside.
It's just as it could be just as challenging. Most definitely.
Yeah, you were thinking about our era. That's why.
Yeah, probably right. Just get
we were outside all the time.
NES out and and
No,
play
but I'm
Mario.
saying our age group when we were younger, we played outside more.
Oh, yeah.
It was easier to get us
Oh
outside.
yeah.
Well, even like me, like
Yeah.
I posted something the other day on Facebook about drinking the manguera water,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
and my friend said something like, I don't know what she said, that being thirsty wasn't going to be enough to keep a girl inside. Like I would rather drink the hot manguera water outside than to have to go inside for anything.
Yeah, it's a
like
whole process going inside. But yeah, but nowadays kids want to play video games and be online and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
pretty much. We're competing against these video games right now that are man, and VRs too, that are just they're amazing. I mean, nothing like you and I. Candace, you're way younger than us, but nothing that Jesus and I grew up with, because technology has just changed so much that it's making you literally addicted to a lot of these apps and games and all that stuff
Yeah,
too.
I'm addicted. What's number 3 on the number 3 list? So we did sleep, rest, exercise.
Okay, all right, cool, yeah, for sure.
What's the third one?
The
I know you
third
said there was 3.
The third one is one of the most important ones, and non-cliche, of course. What do you think it is? I'm gonna play the guessing game with you guys now. What do you think it is?
I'm trying to remember if we talked about it before.
We
It's been a
did.
year.
Actually, we did. But see,
We're
here's
kind of going in different angles.
here's the thing with an interview that we did a year ago. That interview was really good. And we could have the same exact format as to what we talked about, but still
Oh,
It's
there's
in a
so
different
much.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's
For
cool
sure.
about it.
same but different.
With Corona and everything, and even without that,
Exactly.
you can go on and on about those 3 things. I forgot what it is. Any guesses?
Food.
Sleep.
Food.
My fat
There
ass
you
is gonna
go.
say food.
Comfort food.
It's
Look
diet.
how fat she is.
Definitely.
Shut up. Quarantine thick.
Yeah.
She has put on a couple pounds. It's a good
It's-
thing. It's a good.
It's a happy.
So it is diet. Yeah, you're right. It was diet. huh?
It is diet, definitely. And when
guessed right.
when we think of diet, we want to make sure that we're getting our clients to eat well, and not just our clients, but in your home also you have to practice the same things. You have to make sure that there's just no way that I'd be able to go out on the field and really give it my 100% if I wasn't eating right, or if I wasn't exercising, or if I wasn't sleeping right.
Yeah.
Right? But everything for me started at home. It had to begin at home with my family, with my kids, with my social circle. Because if I wasn't taking care of that, nothing would be in its place. There's no way you can take care of other people when you're not taking care of yourself
Yeah,
or the
diet
people
can
that are
affect your
around you.
mood, your productivity, or just everything.
Everything. And so what are we used to right now? What we were talking about before we went on the air? staying away from
Fast food.
certain foods. Exactly.
Stay away from Taco Bell, guys.
These
Two right here are Taco
right?
Bell fans. These two people in front of me.
Yeah, I call
Candace is big.
I call it the stay away from the SAD diet, right?
There you
The
go.
SAD diet
Is it an acronym?
for Standard American Diet,
Okay.
right? Which happens to be, the
Taco Bell.
Okay, I hope are they paying you for that?
I know, right? Damn.
Just give me free nacho fries.
Free Baja Blast.
All that is definitely something that was that continues to be a big thing because we're not eating right now. It's like, I just grab a bag of potato chips and a soda, and those type of things are your body's not getting the nutrients it needs, and it's affecting your all around performance. And those three things are the most important things, the basic things that I would talk to my clients about. But going back to what taking care of the family, taking care of yourself. I think that's one of the most important things that I had to really get on. And my son, 3 years of age, started school.
So cute.
Yeah, he started early Head Start. I think it was something like that. And he's doing it online. So,
Wow.
having a schedule for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's a schedule.
Yeah,
It's a tripped out schedule because he wasn't going to school the first couple of months of the pandemic, but then all of a sudden we were eligible to put him in early Head Start. So we had to make sure that my wife and I had everything down to a science as far as keeping him on a schedule. But I'm not the kind of parent that you're probably you're looking at me and saying this guy's strict. No, not that. Basic things, and making sure that it's a routine because
Right.
kids love, and I'll repeat it, kids and teenagers love routines. I mean, if they get into a bad mood or if they're always rambunctious or all over the place, it's because a lot of times they don't have a set schedule. And my son, from the moment he wakes up, breakfast, watch 15-30 minutes of cartoons, Peppa Pig, he's all into that. And then from there, he already knows what's coming next. All right, Dad's going to, we're going to take a shower. He's going to jump in the bathtub. He plays in the bathtub with the bubbles and all that good stuff. He's there for about, good 45.
It's a sense of security for kids
They
to
love
like,
it, yeah.
to have that, like, it's comfort.
Know
Like,
what
I
to
know this
expect,
is, I know this is going to happen. If something's off, it'll throw it off. But you always know, like, it's going to be that for sure.
She's got some babies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have
How
two
old
kids.
is
Oh,
Ezra?
you got the babies.
5?
Okay.
7.
7 already?
Oh, what
My
a cool
son's
name.
7
I'm the worst at guessing
and
kids'
my
ages.
daughter's 12. She just turned 12.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you and I have that in common. We have a 12-year-old as well at home, and female. That's always an interesting thing. We
I
can
feel
get back
you.
into that right there.
I feel
But
you.
Getting into those teen years.
you notice that there's a lot of educators out there, right? That's parents are out there like, I don't know what happens to my kid, but when I go visit them at school, they behave well, they do well in school, but then all of a sudden they get home and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot. And the reason for that is because at school, they have their schedule. They know what's what's coming up. They have lunch. They have recess. They have
It's structured.
it's all structured. So the same thing has to happen at home also. Even if it's something that to you may not seem very significant. I mean, because a bubble bath, 45 minutes every day was awesome. Is awesome for my son. My son loves it. Right. So after that, he goes in. I get him ready, I sit him down in front of the screen. A 3-year-old, okay, so here's another thing, right? You say to yourself, okay, so how do you keep a 3-year-old engaged in school because he's going from 11 o'clock
That's
to
what I was thinking
about
about.
2:30.
How do you keep them staying
Even
put
for my
in one
son-
place?
Even for my son, I was a little nervous about that because they're at home. It's their safety. They're distracted by their toys or I want a snack.
Yeah,
I want to
totally.
get this. Like, it is
3-year-old to stay put in a seat
Oh, yeah.
in front of a
Oh, yeah.
it's hard for me to stay put.
And I think for the most part,
7-year-old?
a lot
Oh
of
my
the visits
gosh.
that I'd have with my adult clients, because I didn't say this, but yeah, I work at El Paso Mental Health. I do case management with them.
Yeah, let's
My-
remind the folks.
Yeah, my oldest client, was 92 years of age.
Oh, wow.
And then my youngest is 4. So, I mean, you could see the difference there. And, being able to work with different ages has really helped me out a lot also. But, what I did with my son was, his little chair, his where I sit him to feed him and all that. My wife and I, we just, put him in that chair, give him some snacks, right? Cut some apples and some nuts and some fruit, and put the iPad, which was, thank goodness, the schools are able to provide those.
That's cool.
We put it right in front of them. And the teacher is great. She engages them and does little songs and activities, and it's almost the same thing I do. It's repetitive. They know what song they're going to sing at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
They know what activities they're going to do, and they repeat those same things throughout. They change it up a little bit, but throughout the whole week they have the same songs, and they're just he loves it. It's something that he enjoys doing.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So so that's with my little boy, and then afterwards, he gets his little breaks, and it's important for them to get their little exercise also.
Of course.
I love seeing my son in PE because it's funny.
Just doing exercises there. Because I don't have kids, so it's fascinating to me. You know what I mean?
That's literally
so he's got to do the workouts.
That's literally
I didn't even think about
favorite
that.
part of the day, dude. And the thing that I like about his PE is they put on like dances, like they do dance exercise. Yeah, and you know how he loves music. My son loves music. Like he's obsessed with music. So he's there and he's like dancing and he does the little like push up. It's so funny. It's the funniest thing ever.
Like little Zumba almost.
Yeah. It looks like he's like in a little like if he's watching a little yoga aerobics class or something. It's so cute.
And you have to hand it to the teachers because you look at you're looking at the iPad from a distance, right? That way they can't see you. Okay. And the teacher's doing it with them too. So it's like, wow, cool. You have to have a lot of dedication to be able to motivate the
hold
kids.
Hold their attention and everything else.
Exactly.
That comes with it.
It's not an easy thing at all.
How about resilience, man? That's one of the topics.
Well, back to the whole school thing, because I think this is something that I really wanted to cover. What about those teens also that are in high school, right? Or what about the ones that are transitioning from being little kids to teenagers,
young
right?
adults.
Preteens and things like that. They're all going through the same thing also. They're having issues with being able to transition into this lifestyle, because a lot of them have this anger. Why can't I be with my friends? Why can't I go out and socialize a little more? And a lot of them have a hard time understanding that this whole pandemic has really changed not only adults' life, but also their lives as well.
Right.
So, you have to, give them different types of information. I talk to my daughter a lot about, the importance of self-esteem and making sure that I have her on a schedule as well. Because, again, if not put on a schedule, what's a teenager's favorite word to use when they're not doing anything?
Starts with an F. I don't know. When they're not doing anything, I'm bored.
There you go. I'm bored. Everything's boring. I'm bored.
Yeah, kids do say
this is boring. There's just nothing to do, and unfortunately, in my specific case, I really watch the amount of time they get on the screen.
Okay.
Because if you don't, it's going to eat them alive. You have all these apps right now that are extremely interesting, right? We're going to call them interesting. You have TikTok, right? What else is out there? Instagram, things like that.
Yeah, social media.
All
social
that.
Media, the socials. Yeah.
It contributes a lot to, to their screen time. So you have to be able to kind of, set boundaries. And boundaries is a very important thing to do and talk to them about.
Absolutely.
And it's just become the babysitter for a lot of people now. It's just like, what? It's boring.
The screens, yeah.
If I'm bored and I'm an adult and I'm having a hard time, keeping myself, busy or distracted or whatever, well, I can sympathize and, I'll let them be on the phone or whatever.
Right.
And they'll spend, all day on those devices without putting any type of, any restrictions or any boundaries at all. That's why I always recommend to my clients also, there's a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. Have you guys heard of it?
Oh my God, I love it.
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah.
It's awesome. One of my favorite psychologists from Harvard, Jonathan Haidt, he talks a lot about how teenagers have grown to just be, almost like a drug, addicted to their phones. And there's a lot of things that can happen if we're not watching them, if we're not nurturing them, if we're not keeping tabs on what it is that they're seeing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most interesting thing he talks about was the likes and all that. You become addicted to all that stuff, and it gives them a kind of a false sense
reality.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it becomes part of their identity, and if one day they don't get the likes, the world falls apart.
And it does for them in their minds.
Especially the younger ones they only know the world with the internet and social media, whereas we know.
Well, even for me, I have to stop myself from being on social media so much. Not that I do a lot. Not that I do a lot. But there's times where I can feel it getting to me mentally, and I'm okay, I have to take a break, or I have to
how do you know
back.
I'm curious. How do you know when you've had enough? I mean, I know everybody's stories a little different.
I feel my anxiety starts getting really bad. I start getting really it's very similar to a depression, anxiety feeling that I start feeling myself, and it obviously takes a while for me to recognize well, maybe I need to put my phone down, or maybe I need to not look at Instagram for the 3rd time today, or get up and do something else, and
300th time.
Yeah, I have to third time in an hour.
Well, would you say it's kind of almost an instinct, when you're in your house and you kind of go into the fridge, and even though you already know what's in there, you're not even hungry, you just kind of open it. Just to look,
it's the exact same.
It's the same thing with the phone, right? So what do you do when you pick up your phone? I mean, you go to your favorite apps. What apps are those?
Mine is just
Facebook.
The big three.
The
Facebook,
big three.
Instagram, Twitter.
Well, there you go. And you find yourself, going into the app.
Yeah.
And then you've seen that picture tons of times already, especially if your internet's slow, right? But you're still there scrolling, hoping to see if something else changes, right?
What are some of the things that they discovered with kids, though, specific, or young adults? It's still relatively new, but I wonder what some of the harms would be. I mean, besides the whole identity, self-esteem part of it, but I wonder what else.
Socializations. I think it's really important that they also engage with other teens. And I know it's been very difficult because of the pandemic to get together with other people, but because of that, they can have group chats as well. They can have group calls with their friends. During school, I know for a fact that my daughter's really good about keeping track with her friends, and she enjoys it. She's having a conversation with her friends, and sometimes she'll ask, for privacy. Hey, I want to go, and just talk a little bit with my friends, and we're cool with that. As long as, like I said, the adults know and are involved in their lives, because no matter what, you can't. I think it's important for them to know that you're always going to be there, no matter what. You're always going to be there for them. Any dilemma, you're always going to show your support and encourage them to do well. And I think that the more you kind of become distant to them, because you're not really monitoring what they're seeing on their phones, the more likely they are to kind of look at some dangerous content.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I think that's extremely important. And again, with teens, with adults, you just gotta find ways to be productive. And I think as far as developing good habits, I think that's probably one of the most important things that we talked about too. Being able to be getting into your mind and saying, okay, look, well, I gotta come up with some good habits, some good daily habits from the moment I wake up to the time I go to sleep. So I always recommend books. Books is a good thing, to get into, because you just get so much really cool insights. There's a book called Atomic Habits, and it was written by James Clear.
Posted that,
that's a really good book, because it talks about individual habits, what you can do as an individual to start developing some really, really good habits.
Write that one down. Let's just
write
take
it
a
down.
quick 2-second pause. Write it down. Atomic Habits.
Absolutely. I recommend books are ebooks and regular books if you can. That's the best way. That's the best way to grow. Because I think that the more that you invest in yourself, the better you feel about yourself. I think it's golden to be able to learn new things. other habit books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People
It's one of my favorites.
by Stephen Covey.
Covey, yeah.
Awesome book. I mean, it's something, and there's one that they wrote for the family as well, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families, that I also recommend also for a lot of our listeners.
7 Habits for pre-K kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's all reading this big book. No, you can't even read it.
So the more
It's all pictures.
yeah, so the more you engage, the better. And
good
there's a lot of free books out there, a lot of programs out there. YouTube has, I mean, if you want to look up a book, you can just download a book from YouTube and you don't have to buy it. You know.
Hell yeah.
So so things like that. What else do we have on the list?
I wanted to. Well, I brought up. Well, you sent me a list here, so I'm going off of this. So we've already covered some of them.
Okay.
But the one I mentioned earlier was resilience, because that's one of the ones you sent me. A word you sent, a bullet point. So if however you want to approach that one.
Well, resilience is pretty much it's kind of when you think about what we just talked about. It's one of the things that. It's your ability to be able to jump back after, after gone through something that was very difficult. Okay, so resilience is extremely important, and we still work on that every single time. Giving people the tools, finding their strengths, like I had mentioned to you right now, because I think it's important to identify those with everybody. They're different with everybody.
I just thought of something. I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you have any clients that I'm sure you have? Who have caught coronavirus and then it was bad though?
No,
because there's been varying degrees of it. It
varies. Yeah, I've had family members of clients that have in my personal.
I'm talking from personal. I had it, and it was bad.
Oh, it was. Okay.
So resilience, like it was.
I'm all getting the microphone. What?
got the Sub-Zero. If anything, I'm even less likely to catch it now, so I'm good.
Yeah, of course,
but yeah, bouncing back from that was tough because even after I was negative, there was still like some lingering symptoms, like some like asthma type symptoms, just a fog in my mind.
Okay.
So that's
brain fog and stuff like that.
So I was wondering if you had any clients.
Okay. Me personally, no. I haven't had clients that if that COVID hit them really hard.
Yeah, it hit me hard.
But definitely, it's something that you have to bounce back from and be able to. The more you can tell people about your experience, the better you feel about the situation as well, because you're actually you're giving information out for those that have never been infected, and at the same time, you kind of give them a sense of comfort. Also, it's like, okay, I went through this, and this is what I did to kind of deal with it, and I feel a lot better, and I'm 100% healthy now, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, being able to jump back from different things. I mean, COVID is one of them. But
it's information, like you said. But yeah, just in general, resilience, coming back from getting used to being at home, and then they're starting to open things back up. That's another version of coming back, and having resilience is going to come handy. I guess we could talk about some methods of adjusting to, especially here in El Paso, because the things are opening back up more and more. People are going back to work outside of their home, going back into the offices.
Some people are.
So it's an adjustment, is my point. So
some people are returning to school. Some people are going back to work. But it's just making getting a list of your strengths and being able to work on feeling good and doing the things that you like to do, and learning and meditating and engaging and taking deep breaths, because I think that's really important as well, right?
I mean, it's like
some people don't think about that, but that's my number one tool.
Common sense, but we don't do it.
That's something that I would always do with my son. Like when he was like crying or freaking out, I would always tell him, "Okay, take a deep breath," and then he would.
Yeah, it helps.
And then another one, like depending on how crazy he was fine. He was fine. Like that was something that like. My sister actually like showed me with kids to have them, because I do it to myself sometimes, like when I'm like, okay, and I'll just like take a deep, put my hand on my chest, like take a deep breath, and it helps. Like, it just kind of like, okay, like, let me start from there. Like, it kind of gives you like a renewed
reset.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And it
there's
helps
different
so much.
breathing methods and techniques. I'm sure people can Google them and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Well, one I want to personally recommend
Please.
is they have one called the Wim Hof method, which is really cool. Also,
The one taking cold showers,
taking cold
baths, or what is it?
showers, the way it affects your nervous system, how it just wakes it up, makes it feel really good.
Yeah.
And
I've tried, but I'm not consistent with it.
it's a difficult thing to do.
rough.
I take boiling hot showers. I could
No,
never.
the Wim Hof is the absolute opposite. Like cold.
Dude.
I'm in the shower and I'm like, oh.
I hate washing my hands with cold water. Like, I would never
Yeah.
fully
Well, that's the
submerge.
point, though. It's supposed to like shock you.
Well, yeah, I get like the shock.
And
value
it
of
works,
it.
though. It works, but doing it is like, ugh.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, you actually feel the results. But you feel the results after. Like, I'm glad I did it. But like when you're, oh man.
Yeah, your body
It
literally
cold.
tingles. Like afterwards, like if you were feeling cold and you took a cold
It's like
shower,
if almost like
you're fine. You don't feel that cold
But
anymore.
it's better than a freaking cup of coffee. But just doing it, it's like, oh my
That's the challenge. That's the challenge.
God. Yeah.
But
It's a good one to bring up.
it's definitely also a good book that.
How do you
know,
spell? Is it Win? I forget. And then Hof.
and HOF?
Okay. Just so people can, if you want to Google it,
Yeah, that's
look into that. It's interesting.
I think
a lot of
it's-
successful people do it. Billionaires, millionaires, all those highly productive, successful people use that method, and there's different versions of it. I'm assuming.
And they all talk about it too. They
Adam
all
Carolla, he's one of my favorite podcasters, and he does that. He jumps in he has a pool, so especially during the winter, the pool is automatically freezing.
the ice bath.
Jumps,
Oh
he
my
just jumps
God.
in there for like 30 seconds.
And they all tell you that they feel good afterwards.
Yeah,
and if they felt, bummed out or, anxious or what have you, a cold shower really just helped them out.
It's got different benefits, different levels of it. And everybody speaks highly of it. But yeah, doing it, you just have to get into the habit, just like everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
So you were saying, okay, well, I could never do something like that. Okay. Well, what you can do though is, you could, while you're taking a shower, start, putting the water, adjusting the water, getting a little colder, and before you know it, you're taking a cold shower.
yeah.
But it's not right away. It's not like, oh, I'm taking a hot shower. Boom.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to do it that way.
Wean yourself onto it.
But there's special instructions, and there's multiple podcasts that will show you the method in detail. And there's a YouTube video also that shows you the importance of taking the deep breaths, and how it could relax you, and put you to sleep pretty much,
Yeah.
Because if you do the technique right and you're struggling with going to sleep at a reasonable hour, you'll definitely go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. I'm sure that you could use it. I'm sure there's all kinds of benefits. Because when you breathe in a certain way, it does make you sleepy, but in a relaxed way. It can also wake you up.
Yeah.
'Cause I guess you're getting more oxygen.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. There's different types of methods that definitely help
Yeah.
out with that. And that's one of the things that I do talk to my
Tony
clients about.
Robbins has a lot of breathing techniques he does. But
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of really cool exercises that he uses too before he gets on a podcast or does a
he
presentation.
also does Wim Hof stuff.
So there's a lot of things right now that are being shared on the internet that are extremely, really beneficial.
Oh yeah.
And this is 2020 was definitely the year where you wanted to get as much information as possible because times are changing. A lot of people are, working from home now, and they've realized that, the same thing that I'm doing at home, that I was doing at work, I'm doing at home now, right? And what has 2020 given you? Because I know it's taken a lot from a lot of people, and I know, I understand, that people get sick, people losing people. That you totally empathize with all that.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you ask yourself the question. You'd be like, well, what has it given you? And in my particular case, I'm able to sit down with my family and have breakfast.
Okay.
I'm able to have lunch.
Yeah.
And dinner, which is good. Something that
Just to
I
focus
didn't
on
have
some of the
before.
positives.
You said one thing that's focus on the positives.
Yeah.
Focus on gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude's extremely important. Giving thanks for all the
yeah.
things that you do have.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do have somebody that that's been going through something very difficult, what have you done to help them out? Have you reached out? Have you talked to them? Have you just, sat there and listened to what they had to say? Because a lot of people need that. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of families that don't communicate at all, and they're just not used to it. And sometimes you can see it as some sort of sign of weakness. And that's, definitely 2020 was the year to be able to reach out and to make significant connections with a lot of people.
Heck yeah, in different ways.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
think it's kind of forced people to not everybody, obviously everybody gets different things out of it, but it's forced people who look at things like, okay, I'm going to focus on the positives. Like,
oh yeah,
that was something that I was grateful for, but like when the whole pandemic and my kids went back to school, to be able to see them throughout the day in school was something for me that like I was like, oh my god, like I wanted to cry every day just because like seeing my son do PE or like seeing the way he asks his teacher things or like my daughter asking me like, I don't know this problem, or just little things like that. It was nice because we never had, you know what I mean, like we'd go to school, you really wouldn't think about what goes on in school because they're there, like it's out of sight, out of mind, but you're kind of forced to be there. And not for everybody, but for me, I did take it like, oh my god, like I'm so grateful that I get to like be here with them or like see them do this, or that we have this, like it's not an opportunity, but you took it as an opportunity instead of taking it as like, oh, I guess we're
Most definitely. And see, it's just the way you change the way you look at things.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do struggle with that. They kind of have tunnel vision. They think that it's a certain way, but once you change your perspective on certain things, you're able to to change the way you view things and feel better about certain things. I'm not going to say everything, because I'm not going to say everything is...
Some things are harder than others.
Exactly.
Certain situations are tougher, but it's still possible.
And I think people just are...
Little wins, baby steps, all those things.
People are just scared of change in general. So and it to be a constant change, like we never know what's going to happen, especially here, like things were opening, closing, whatever.
Closing,
so
opening, back,
the fact that it wasn't like our society wasn't structured the way we were used to, I think is also what kind of like caused people to get thrown off.
Most definitely.
How we looking on time?
And it continued. Well, I wanted to let the audience know that if they're going through something and they need to talk to somebody, that they could always reach out to our clinic.
Okay.
We have services there, pro bono services. So if somebody needs to see,
I know we said on the other episode, but any links or phone numbers?
Absolutely, that's what I was pulling up the phone number. I have 915-249. 6639. That's El Paso Mental Health. Again, that's 915-249-6639. If you're needing any services, like I said, just reach out, make an appointment. And as far as insurances, if you don't have insurance, we have that pro bono on Saturdays. If you do have insurance, they take Molina and Superior right now, and that's something that a lot of people definitely would benefit from.
And I've actually shared that link and for the pro bono stuff and just in general on Facebook a couple times in specific posts, because people would bring that up. They make jokes about it sometimes. Oh my, it's our nature. We don't want to let on that we're depressed or whatever. So you make a joke, like a self-deprecating joke. Yeah. But I have posted like, well, in case, all jokes aside, in case you want to, want some help, hit up my boy and his people and his.
Definitely, we'll definitely take care of you. People, the staff there are very kind. They're very compassionate, and they work well with their clients. And I have to, I give shots out to all the case managers out there, because they're really, the machine that keeps the organization going, the cream of the crop. They're out there. They're with clients. They're giving it their best. And, a lot of clients are saying really good things about them. So that's, major props to the director, to Mr. Ray Leal and Maria Horta, who's the clinic director. So, my hat's off to them, because they all work very hard, and they do a really good job with taking care of our community. My puppy, though, the thing that I like is marriage coaching and education. So I do a lot of marriage coaching and education also. Through Love, Health, Prosperity El Paso. I have Facebook. I have an Instagram. Look me up if you have a chance.
Nice.
And I also have a website as well. So I do work with clients too who are struggling with relationships that need tips with communicating well with any family member, but also with their spouses. If they're having issues with communication, if they're or even if they're doing well, even if their relationship is awesome. I work with clients. I have a lot of good clients right now that are really seeing some really good results in their relationships, and their marriages are thriving. They went from having a lot of issues in their marriage to communicating better. And don't be afraid to reach out. You could always call me up. My phone number is 915-999-5694. That's Love, Health, Prosperity, El Paso, 915-999-5694.
Yeah, just when things are going well, that's how you can keep them going well.
Keep it that way, because a lot of people end up getting help when it's very
you don't want to
hard.
wait till you don't want to wait till you want to kill each other. Keep it. It's like a tune-up in a car.
Exactly.
Maintenance work,
especially during this whole pandemic, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a lot of couples out there struggling with communication.
Well, there was increases in domestic violence, is what I read, because they were home. I was like, oh man.
Well, yeah, people aren't used to spending that much time
some people
together.
work was the break.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I understand, man.
So for sure, I mean, again, like always, Jesus, and Candace, I appreciate you guys letting me come out here and talk a little bit about what I do.
Hell yeah!
I really enjoy what I do for sure, and people can always give me a call or send me a text message if they have any questions, or if they need a reference. I'm definitely here to help out in any way possible.
Hell yeah, man! We appreciate you coming out. I want to thank you for coming out as well. Again, listeners, hope you wrote that stuff down, that information, of course. Atomic Books. Was that what Atomic Habits? I'm sorry. The book called Atomic Habits. I remember you posted and I actually screenshotted it. So
that's a really good book. Also, The Power of Habit is really cool. Charles Duhigg. I do recommend that book also because it talks about organizations, families that can develop habits during the day to, again, enrich their lives and enrich each family member also, so that they can develop them habits as well.
Oh yeah. Well, keep up the good work, man.
Awesome.
I call them ma'am. So that's the tone. I mean to say ma'am. So,
I understand. It's all good.
Keep up the good work. Again, thanks, please reach out to me if those services are something you're interested in. Listeners, Candace, any goodbyes or shout outs or?
Shout out to me for not dying. No, just kidding. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, no problem.
I was super excited about this episode for a long time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is Sweet Jesus Radio. Thank you for playing.
Sweet Jesus Radio.